Hello,
welcome back to the Justice and Faith Show.
Welcome back. I hope everybody's having a happy new year. They are being safe. We are happy to be back.
Yes, very excited.
And we got a big one for you tonight.
Yeah, it's juicy. It's juicy, that's for sure.
She says she thinks we're going to lose some viewers. We're going to lose an audience. I think we might grow some people because we're talking about something that it's a big topic and people don't usually talk about it in a broad sense, and Faith's going to pretty much control this narrative for the most part because this is from a woman's perspective.
Yes.
And this is very important to hear. We're a married couple. We have been married. It's going to be 2 years. Mm-hmm. This is our second go around.
Yes.
And one of the reasons this can't come up is because there have been problems as a result of this. Now we've had to reevaluate it because I said a respect thing, and there was a confusion about this word that people don't like, submission.
He said it.
No one likes the word submission.
Oh man, he said it.
And I'm going to let her get into the technical definition or the commonly held accepted submission.
Yeah. And
then we're going to transition into the biblical submission, which is what we follow.
Right. Based
off the fact that we're God-fearing people. We are working towards a more Christ-like life. Mm-hmm. Everybody watching this might not have that same perspective, and that's fine. But we're going to talk from our perspective. We think you might still be able to get
something out of this.
Yeah, and it might explain why there are some issues in your family, your life. And I'm not saying it from like a biblical Christian perspective. It is much more difficult to do it when you don't have those principles, because a lot of this is grounded to American culture and we don't even know it.
Right.
Like growing up, there's things that you probably saw through your household and through your families, and it's like the man runs the household. Yeah. And over time, especially if there's a man that's absent within the household and a woman is now running the household per se, then they feel like they're taking on a role of the man.
Right.
And I don't want to say it caused confusion, but it definitely has caused a sense of empowerment that is not bad, but it can be dangerous for any woman who is single and then becomes married to maintain that mindset when she has a husband, especially if this husband is able to lead correctly, because that is going to cause issues and problems.
There's a lot of I don't want to say stipulations. I don't know if that's the right word, but like when you're talking about submission, especially in a marriage and a biblical standpoint, it has to be done the right way. So we're going to get into that, but we're going to just start with we're titling this one, "Why do women have such a problem with submission?" So
I don't think we're going to title it exactly. It seems long, but pretty much it's going to be. I'm sorry, baby.
No, it's okay.
I can submit too.
Why do women have a problem with submission? So basically, it boils down to the negative stigma of that word. Like the word submission just like has like a negative connotation. The actual definition, we looked it up before we started here, is it's literally the action or fact of accepting or yielding to a superior force or the will or authority of another person. So women in general, especially now in 2021, we have gotten this whole thing from media and movies and everywhere. People are saying, women power, like empower your women and make sure like we can do anything men can do.
And there's nothing wrong with empowering women.
Exactly. No.
At all.
Women can do like just about anything men can do. Like we are all for empowering women. But it kind of muddies the water, and especially since the nuclear family is not really a thing like it used to be. Women are doing a lot of their stuff by themselves, so they're like, I am the mother and the father, and like it's getting confusing.
And they have positions of power now, which historically is not even going back thousands of years. Like women got married because they had no other way. There's women that are CEOs, owners of companies and stuff, and I believe definitely it probably is hard for them to go home if their husband is a garbage, like a sanitation worker, and then think about the word submission. Like, I'm yielding to you, Mr. Garbage Man. And it's not about that stature or your level of, I don't want to say success, but if you're a CEO, a lot of times you might look, down, or you might look at a civil service worker as a lesser person. So when you go into the household, you kind of carry that air with you because you're in charge.
You carry that boss into the house. So just that negative connotation of feeling like you have to yield to another person and they are, like the definition says, superior to you. So like that's something that a lot of people get hung up on because, like he said, you might not feel like the man is actually superior.
That actually makes a lot of sense because when you would say, I feel like you're attacking me or you're putting me down, I never thought about it like it might hit you that I think I'm better or superior because I'm telling you something you're not doing or you don't know.
Right.
And so it feels like I'm lording over you. But sometimes you'll go, I know what you're saying is right. I think it's just the fact that you didn't figure it out on your own, or maybe like what I found out now is if I talk to her like this, like in a defensive, like I'm scared, like in a defensive way, then she listens better. But if I'm me and I'm just kind of then she's more like prone to feel attacked. So I'm just like, I'm defensive. I'm a porcupine. My quills are up. I'm scared of you. Please. Now I understand why some men are scared of their wives. I understand. I'm not scared of her, but I do know if I present as scared to her, then she can't. She's like, well, he's a punk. So I should, like, maybe I could just listen to what this little guy has to say because he's not, he's not I'm bigger than him at this moment.
Yeah.
That's how I can submit. And I'm like, I'm okay with that because it creates a more harmonious household, which allows me to lead better because then I'm not yelling, I'm not stressed, I'm not snappy, I'm not being passive aggressive, I'm not lording over her because my ability to be able to say, hey, like take her by the hand and be like, hey baby, like this, instead of being, this isn't done, and having a look on my face and she can feel my tension and presence and she's like, something's not right, I don't know what I didn't do or what I did do, and it's because I at times have not understood that there's times where I need to submit, but it's not because she's my authoritarian or she's superior, it's because I need to submit my will just as to God to her, because how I approach things is different than she, and vice versa. Yeah. So I have to submit, I love her and I want to lead her correctly. How can I do so? And she doesn't always know how to say, this is what I need you to do. Just like I don't always know how to say, this is what I need you to do. Sometimes it's just not doing what you would naturally do and really having faith in the other person to see it in their time and not in yours. And it kind of goes into...
So basically what we're going to go into next is the biblical, like actual biblical meaning of submission. So it's not that, he's my boss and he gets to tell me everything and I'm like his employee and I have to do all the things he tells me to do without question, or I'm going to get fired or written up.
I would get a sexual harassment charge you ain't never seen before if that's the case.
So that's not the case. Like he's not my boss. Like I don't have to just listen to everything he says. It's more of understanding the hierarchy in the family. He's the head, and then I'm kind of like right there. Like we are partners in this marriage. We are not like we're not opposing like teams going against each other.
We're not opposing forces. Like we're on the same team. It's just a team has a coach and a quarterback, and sometimes people, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, who made who was better, but it's just kind of like they worked really well together and they had a lot of success together because they understood each other's strengths and weaknesses. And they can have separate success, but when they're on the same page, it's like, wow, there's a dynasty. And that's kind of where, my mind goes with stuff. It's like, well, there's a dynasty here where we're always in competition to keep winning, to be diamonds, because we're doing stuff that other people are not doing. And that's not a shot at anybody, but we're willing to put our egos and our thoughts and our will aside to look at a bigger, broader picture and just go, what does this word really mean? What does leadership really look like? What does submission look like? What does respect look like?
Right, definitely.
What does faith look like? So that's great. But, all these types of things where we think we have an answer and we think we know it, sometimes when we're challenged by words and things that we don't like, and we are willing to look into it further and more deeply, then we have a better understanding. And submission is one of those words. It's a trigger word for a lot of people, women specifically, but for a man, if you told a man, you need to submit. Like, if I'm your boss, and instead of saying you need to do this because this is your job, and I'm like, you should submit to me.
Oh yeah,
because I am your boss. Think about Roman Reigns. I'm the head of the table, so you should submit to me. That's why you don't like him, because you're like, oh, this is ridiculous. But like a man would definitely have a problem with it. So as men, we have to understand. We have to make sure that word is framed in its proper context. Like submit does not mean I walk into the house, fix my food, do this, do that. I'm not being an authority. I'm not being an authority. What I am is I am the authority in my house, and that. I am the authority, but I'm not the authority without her. Oh,
I like that.
Like, so it's just like, if you think about scripture and it says, "Don't." What is this about? He said, "Don't follow me, follow he who sent me."
Yes.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't make certain moves if I know that my wife's not going to be happy with this, especially if it's family related. So on a personal level, you go out and whatever the case may be, and this, people talk about like, would your wife like this? You know, even if you're not doing anything wrong. I have female friends now, and you know, they've like given me their numbers, and they're like, does your wife feel about this? Would your wife like this or whatever? So I'm just like, I have to just ignore, and I've told her like, these people, and my phone's never locked and nothing like that. I'm where I need to be, and whatever the case may be. And if anything started to go south or whatever the case, she'd be the second person to know, because the first person would know that was that person, because that relationship would have to be, because it will be in opposition to my marriage and my ability to lead. Yeah. And her ability to submit to that leadership, because I am actively living and being that person that God has called me to be. Yeah. That's the biggest piece of it. And
like, we actually, in preparation for this, we actually did just a little bit of research to make sure that we had some stuff to kind of reference and go back to. So I love what this is saying in here, so I'm just going to read this real fast. It says, first, let me say that I believe submission in marriage is not...
Just go to servanthood, retinence.
Retinence. Servanthood, inferior, docile, degrading, and it's not a sign of weakness. So all of those things, just the fact that he felt like he had to put that in, means that those are things that people think when they hear that word. So they think it means servanthood. They think it means inferior, docile, degrading. These are all things that no one wants to be.
I just want to put a pin in that right there. Men, how often have you said something? We do this all the time. And you said it very straightforward. And then you go like, do you understand me? Well, yeah, you're saying this. And it's like, no. That's not what I said, because there are things that you didn't pay attention to every word and what that connotation can mean for the person you're speaking to. Mm-hmm. So it happens with us all the time. And I'm just like, you know what, babe, those shoes don't match. Or it should be like, well, you're saying I don't look good today and my whole outfit is trash and I don't know how to match my clothes. I get dressed in the dark. I said, no, sweetheart, I just said you picked out two shoes. The black ones go better than the white. And then I turn around and the whole outfit's changed. And I'm just like, how did this happen? Because you told me I didn't look good.
Right, definitely. And then, so the next sentence is what I really want to talk about. In fact, submission in marriage is a sign of strength, not of weakness. It requires a great degree of personal strength of character. So,
and then go into that piece too.
Submission in marriage is a spirit of respect a wife has towards her husband. It's an attitude intended to help her and her husband to live a more contentful, peaceful life together. So that's what we want to talk about, as far as that's what it should be. And that's what we try. We're by far away from perfect, but we try.
We work towards it, and I think that, and I think part of the reason is because I am bending my will more towards God instead of my own. So then her will is bending more towards me as a reflection of God, and that works better.
Right. So we're gonna put a pin that. Because I really like that it says it's a sign of great personal strength and character. It's not weakness. So it's, if me as a woman and a person and someone who has my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own life experiences, and my own everything, if I can submit to my husband as the head of the household to like work together as a team to make our family and our life easier, and to like really just help him shoulder all the burdens that he has, because being the head of the house is no picnic.
No.
So it's like, just because I have to submit to him, I also have to realize that yes, he's the head of the household. He has all of this on his shoulders. So
and it's not built there. God built us perfectly for what we do best. There are burdens I deal with. She had to, she probably could, but she's definitely going to deal with them entirely different. As stressed and as high strung as I can be about some stuff, there are some things that I can do that people look at me and are like, how can you? Like today, I got like no sleep. Like just certain things. If this was reversed and it was you that had no sleep or whatever, you might just be like, I hate the word. Like whatever the case may be. But I'm like, I understand my schedule, my responsibilities, things I'm trying to build. It's just life right now, and I'm not upset, and I get that. But then something else can happen, and it's like, why did you just get mad at that? Like, you didn't get mad. It's because the overall burden is not a burden; it's a responsibility, and I take it seriously.
And as the wife, it's my job not to just submit, because I mean that's my job, but it's also to help him not make his life harder than it has to be. So that's part of the submission aspect, is like, help him be his partner, be his like help meet, like it says in the Bible, and like make it so that his life is not harder than it has to be. When he comes home, he needs to have a safe place to like just be and like shed the rest of the day. And then it also says in here that being submissive does not mean that you're a silent yes person or a doormat. So I do have the ability and even sometimes the responsibility to have an opinion and to tell him when he isn't doing something that could be right. Like if I feel like he is doing something that might be questionable or whatever, I need to make sure that I am bringing that to his attention. So I'm not a yes person. I'm not a doormat. I have my thoughts, my ideas, my input in everything, but it's ultimately it's a balancing act.
There's a responsibility with that too, because like sometimes we'll have a conversation, you might feel some way, and I might, and you could be right, but it's your approach to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're telling me I'm wrong, so I'm like, well, how could I do this better? Whatever. You go, I don't know. And it's like, well, where did you get to, how do you know it's wrong if you can't tell me a better way to go, or you can't point me in a direction? Because as a man, we're very results driven. We're very like, we don't want to, if we have a problem, we want to fix the problem, we want to solve it. We don't want to talk around the problem for too long, because we got another problem that we're dealing with.
Right.
So when it comes to those types of things, and if I'm doing something that maybe I shouldn't be doing, maybe I'm not fully aware I am, and I'm just like, whatever the case may be, and you go, well, that's wrong. We've been there. First, and it happens sometimes now, and it's almost instant with you. It's like, I say something, that's not right. This is 100% the opposite. Like, it's like you don't even think about the thing. So the thing about submit in those moments, and we've had these conversations, I'm like, you don't respect me. And it took, and I still think she's learning, like, she's like, I do respect you. I respect you. And I'm like, no, you don't. And she really just kind of was like, I do respect. And I think she probably said, like, what do I do that's disrespectful? And to me, it's like that. It's like, I'm not saying everything I say is right. I'm definitely not saying what I'm saying is gospel. But there are times where I say, do the research or go to the Bible or whatever. And she's just looking at me because she's so stuck on the fact that I am the messenger. She's missing the message. And I'm just like, go see the message elsewhere. Get it from somewhere else, because I am not the one. I am just simply telling you this information that you may not know. But because in that moment, she feels like I'm lording over her, I'm being authoritarian, and I'm just like, that's why I'm willing to kind of concede and just say, look somewhere else. And when she doesn't, we have a problem, because I'm like, you're still stuck on the me aspect and not the message.
Right. And I feel like some of that comes from our first marriage, because I definitely was not as submissive, I believe, in that one, because I did not believe you were or could be or whatever leading correctly.
which is crazy because one of the things that you chose me for and married me for was the fact I was willing to go to church and all that. But, and this is a point that we wanted to point out. Like we said, everybody is watching this is not Christian, or you have your belief systems. That's fine. What we're saying is that as Christians or people who want to be Christians or God-fearing people, her choosing to marry me, and because I chose to marry her because she was God-fearing, and I thought that would help me. But because of her rigidness and looking at things, I didn't understand. I'm a good leader of different things, but when it comes to leading through God, that's a whole different thing. Because leading through God means that I'm taken out of it, and I'm like, well, how do I lead for God? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to do that, and just that's part of it's the edification of my wife. It's how I treat my daughter, it's how I treat everybody, and I was like, the leadership is not what I thought it was. So it definitely created problems. It manifested in our divorce, but I don't think either of us understood where the manifestation was really coming from. So this might be a feeling she had, but she didn't really understand it because we were going to church every Sunday. We were going to counseling every week. We were doing things, but I still think because I had, certain vices and addictions and different things I told her about, it's just like, if you're doing that, you can't be whatever.
Right.
And I think it just kind of internalized because in her mind, she's like, my dad never would. She's like, my dad would never do that, or this person would never do that. Yeah. And I don't believe that they ever did it. And it's just kind of like, you can't say it because that's all you saw. Mm-hmm. And people don't tell you everything. I'm very transparent for a reason. There's a reason I'm transparent. So me being transparent has caused me a lot of strife at times because once you tell someone something, it's kind of hard to unlearn it and unhear it. So if I never told her some of the stuff I did, she probably wouldn't have had as many issues. But
yeah.
And now it's manifested because I understand it actually hit me. Maybe she doesn't respect me correctly and is not submitting biblically. Because I used to point to that thing in the Bible all the time. And I'm like, how can I utilize the Bible and the Word of God to affix myself to this situation?
I remember feeling like, oh my goodness, he's just trying to get me to do what he wants by pointing at the Bible or whatever. Like, he's trying to be like, you're supposed to listen to me. Like, and I'm like, it doesn't work that way. So. it does, but it doesn't. Right. Because it's the respect and just the disrespect there was that I'm like, the Bible states this, and we could have went into what submission really went, and we did. We actually went to council and had that discussion. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, the Bible states this, and we used to joke, and I was just like, submit, woman. But that's a joke. Like it was about specific stuff. But now that we're married, and now that our marriage is a whole different, because we're both all in. Like, it's not to say the first time we weren't all in, but it's different because we've been there, done that. We saw what the worst of the worst could look like. And me personally, I really don't, like, if I have to be authoritative to make sure that we stay within that, and there's times where I'm just like, she's going to be mad, she might cry, she might be emotional. It's uncomfortable. The Bible is uncomfortable. Right. God's will is uncomfortable sometimes. So I'm just like, you being uncomfortable has caused you to grow, though. The more uncomfortable you've gotten, you're like, you know what? No one else ever forced me to be this uncomfortable. And then you recognize things on your own, and then you're able to have respect and appreciation. But it only is because I am submitting to God. I have to submit first. Right. And I submit to my family. Yes. Because my family is my priority. And no matter what happens, they know there's never a time. I don't believe there's ever a time that they feel like I value or put anything above them. Right. No, definitely not. So it's like I'm submitting to, like, you come in, got a bad day, you have emotions and stuff. How many times have I had like a worse day and I'm just like, okay, and you're like, I feel better now. And they're like, how was your day? And I'm like, wasn't the best. And you're like, I'm sorry, I just told you all this stuff and you had a terrible day. And I'm just like, it's what it is because I can take it. I can deal with it. So okay, we're going to switch gears just a little bit. Hopefully that kind of helped a little bit. Like, remember, again, we're talking about specifically in marriage. Like, if you are a man and a woman that are just living together and you're not married, some of these can be a little bit muddied because it's not going to be like you as a woman that's not married to a man are not called to submit to just the person you're living with. You're not called to submit to anyone other than God at that point. But then if and when you do get married, whatever roles you've been living in for however many years you've been living together, might have to change, and that's going to be difficult because you probably have these like habits and stuff. So that's all going to get muddied when you're talking about submission in any form other than a husband and wife relationship. But he's going to talk a little bit about like the race aspect, because I didn't realize this, being a white woman. I didn't realize that there's like a race aspect to submission. So he's going to talk about that a little bit.
So one of the things, and I never heard it like directly in correlation to you, maybe like outside, but like there is this aspect amongst the, amongst members of the Black community, not everybody, but I've had conversations with, Black women, or I've seen forums and different things like that. And one of the things that come up is like, well, when a Black man, he has a level of success, or he might get affluent, or even, might not have reached a certain level of success, they choose a white woman. They get a white woman. They'll say like, why did they go out and get a white woman? And I'm just like, I've never heard anybody say, why does a Black woman go out and get a white man? And when they do, it's all positive. It's all, oh man, like it's all these positive things. But if a Black man gets a white woman, the first thing that they say is, oh, because she's going to do whatever he wants her to do. That's where people get that love, that submission. Yeah. That that white woman is going to bow to his will, and he wants that. But then in the Black, I've also had this conversation. The Black woman has had to take on and a lot of parental roles. There's a lot of, every household, every race has, there's not always a father around, or even a mother. But let's just stick to the Black community. It's well documented that a lot of fathers aren't around, whether they're incarcerated, rightfully or unrightfully so. Whether they're killed rightfully, or nobody's rightfully killed, let's not say that, but whatever the case may be, or they leave or whatever, that woman then takes over the role, quote unquote, the role of the mother and the father. Mm-hmm. Essentially, she's still the mother, because you cannot take over the role as a father, and nobody wants to hear that. I can never take over the role as a mother. Mm-hmm. I just become an extension, and I do the best that I can. But like even now, there are things that Arabella can talk to and deal with faith better than me, and vice versa. It's because God built us and designed us with specific strengths and weaknesses. All of us, like as a specific person, but as male and female, or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Not getting to all the gender stuff, but as male and female, there's very innate stuff in us as people that we're just innately better than. So the reason I bring that up is because when I do hear that, it kind of, it's disingenuous. I can't speak for everyone though, because I've spoken to some Black men who were with white women, and they're like, yeah, like they listen. And honestly, and this is what gets crazy to me, those Black men who might have been hard, and when I say hard, like, like tough guys and whatever, they lighten up because they have someone who submits, whether they're married or not. And I'm not talking about that aspect, but it's just that idea that this person listens to me, that they're not degrading me. And then you might say, well, why is he treating her? Why is he treating the white woman better than he's treating these sisters? And not all situations are the same. I'm just saying I've seen a few situations where that has come up, and it's just kind of like, well, when I was with her, she put me down because I didn't have this. But when I got with her, she uplifted me and helped me get that. Mm-hmm. And then that creates another narrative where it's like, oh, you're with her because she got you something. Right. She helped you. She helped get you better credit. So that's why you're with her. Okay, I get it now. But it's not that. It's just the fact that you might be with someone. And like I said, it's not just, I'm not trying to single anybody out. But because we're in an interracial relationship, this is an important thing for me, because I'm pretty sure anybody that really knows me knows that that's not the case with us. But somebody passively might go, oh, he's with her because of this or with that. Or I remember when before we even got married, there was whisperings, and I'm not going to say who said or what, that I was only trying to marry you, which was the dumbest thing I ever heard, because you're a virgin. And I was like, what? That it makes no sense to me. Like, why would I want to marry a virgin? Right. That like, why, like if I, it's not like a badge of honor for somebody like me or something like that. So it's very important that we're mindful of those types of things, those stigmas that are attached to words, those stigmas that are attached to race. Like, learn exactly where these things come from and exactly where they fit into your life. And maybe if you really just look at it, you'll understand some of the problems that you have are problems because the way you think that you're living or the way that you want to live is in opposition to the way that you really should be living, because you have misinformation or you haven't really looked into it. Like, we gave you the actual definition of submission that's most commonly accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And if you asked a man or a woman, if I just walked up to anybody and said, you need to submit to me, they would look at me like somebody might throw hands up, because it's like submit. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you to bend the knee. I'm not telling you to bow down to me. What I'm saying to you is that in this situation, or our situation, where we all need to submit. So we really need to look at that word and take that negative connotation out of it.
Yeah.
Especially within a household with a man and a wife. And we really need to understand that submission also includes respect. And if you haven't earned that respect, if you aren't doing what you need to do as a man, and I'm talking to the men now, if you're not doing what you need to do, you think you're doing what you need to do, but you're not willing to put your ego aside, and have this need for power and your title in that structure, you will not succeed. You will not succeed. It's going to come crumbling down because your foundation is built on the wrong stuff.
Yeah. So on that note, I think we've covered everything that we wanted
just
to.
I'll give a little, like, because you're the woman, and just give a closing statement.
A closing
on submission.
statement. Okay, so basically, in closing, I just want to say to all the women, it's okay to be a submissive wife. Like, it's okay. It's not just okay. It's good, and it's going to bring you much easier times.
Happy husband, lots of lovins.
It's gonna make your life a little bit easier. I'm not saying you're not gonna have issues. You're definitely still gonna have fights and problems, because we're humans and we butt heads because we have difference of opinions. Especially us, we were raised differently. Like, all of that stuff is still going to be there, but submitting to your husband and, like, looking at it the way that it's supposed to be looked at, as like this tool that you can use as a woman to really bring your family up to where it needs to be, that's what I want to leave you with. Like, you are using submission as a tool in your tool belt to help your family get to where they need to get to. So
very well said.
So anyway, thank you so much. We had actually a really good time doing this. So this was a really good one. If you liked it, please comment. Please tell us what you thought. If you hated it and disagreed with everything we said, tell us that too.
Tell us how you feel about submission and your situation, married or unmarried, because everybody can be helped, and everybody needs to know just certain things. Maybe you don't know where to get it from, and sometimes you just need to vent and just talk to. So we're always available for that too. So we're going to sign off now because we're running close to our allotted time. So this is Justice and Faith signing off, saying keep your faith strong
and maintain your justice.
God bless everybody.
Bye.